She said, "You never listen," while laughing in the background of his livestream that night. At first I thought I'd misheard her. I was half slouched on our couch, one sock on, one sock off, TV mumbling some cooking show I wasn't really watching, phone in my hand with Twitch open because a coworker had sent me a link. The stream was noisy, game audio, chat alerts, this guy's voice in my earbuds, and then through the tinny speakers I heard hers, clear as if she was standing in front of me. "You never listen," she said, this teasing sing-song she used on me when I'd missed the point of a story. And then there was her laugh, the high, sharp one she only does when she's genuinely delighted, not the polite one she used on my parents. It floated over his mic, muffled but unmistakable, followed by the slap of something soft, like a cushion hitting someone's arm, and his chuckle, "Chat, she's bullying me again." My whole body went hot in one wave and then cold in the next. I sat up so fast my laptop slid off my thighs and thunked onto the carpet. The streamer, Jace on Fire, was full screen now on the TV because I'd cast it from my phone earlier, thinking I'd have it as background noise. Neon LED lights behind him, headphones on, hand on his mouse, eyes flicking between game and chat. The camera was angled slightly wide tonight, and in the top right, just out of frame, I could see the edge of a second chair and the back of someone's head. Dark curls, the same color as the ones currently tied up in a scrunchie in the selfie she'd sent me an hour ago from Girls' Night at Gabby's. The chat was going feral. "Is that LUXI? Girlfriend reveal. We knew it lol. WIZZ. Relax, relax," he was saying, glancing off screen with a grin. "She's just roasting me about missing my ult again. Don't encourage her." And then her voice again, faint but so familiar, "Because you never listen when people tell you there's a guy behind you." The word never landed in my chest like a stone, because that was exactly what she'd thrown at me in our argument before she left for Gabby's. You never listen. It was a Saturday night when it all properly clicked into place. How long I'd been looking away, how loud the signs had been. For context, I'm 29M, she's 27F. I'll call her Lexi here because I'm not ready to see her real name typed out 100 times in the comments. We've been together 5 years, living together for 3, sharing a 2-bedder on the edge of the city with a rescue dog who's currently the only creature in the world I fully trust. I'm not totally sure what I'm asking for posting this. Advice, permission to stop feeling crazy, a place to dump the story somewhere that isn't my friends' group chat. It just won't stop replaying in my head, especially that line, "You never listen," being said to me as criticism and to him as a joke on the same day. I met Lexi in a way that felt very rom-com at the time and now just feels ironic. We both worked in the same building. I was on level 4 in a boring but stable project manager role. She was on level 6 in social media for some vegan meal box startup. One morning the lifts broke and we were all herded into the stairwell like cattle. I made some comment about how this was my cardio for the week just as she was huffing past me on the landing. She snorted, said, "Mate, if this is your cardio you need Jesus," and kept walking. I laughed in that slightly shocked, offended way you do when a stranger is just blunt. At level 5 she'd slowed down enough that I caught up. Somehow we ended up walking the rest of the stairs together, trading complaints about the building, its coffee, the open plan collaboration spaces. She had this energy that made everything sound like a punchline, even when she was ranting. By the time we hit level 6, I knew her name, Alexa, but only my mum and robots call me that she hated coriander, and that she'd only taken the job because being paid actual money to doomscroll is the dream. She knew I'd moved back in with my parents to save for a deposit, that my coworkers only spoke to me about Jira tickets, and that I had precisely zero idea what TikTok was beyond, teens dancing for clout. We started having accidental on purpose coffee run-ins after that. She'd swing by level 4 on the pretext of asking if anyone needed a caramel latte, lean on my desk and go, "Stairs today," with this mischievous glint. I'd pretend to hem and haw and then grab my reusable cup. It was easy. That's the word that kept coming up when I talked about her to friends. It was just easy. Talking, hanging out, sliding from colleagues, to people who flirt at the coffee machine, to "we're seeing each other," without any big dramatic declarations. Lexi is one of those people who are loud without being obnoxious. Always talking with her hands, narrating her thoughts out loud, sending me memes at 2 a.m. with no context. She loved being around people, loved new things. New restaurants, new hobbies, new shows. I'm not like that. I'm a routine guy. I like knowing what my week looks like. I like meal prepping. I like rewatching the same comfort show until the theme song is ingrained in my bones. It worked at first. Where I was solid, she was spontaneous. She dragged me to markets and gigs. I reminded her to pay her phone bill. Twitch entered the picture around pandemic time. Like everyone, we were stuck at home. Sourdough starter on the counter, banana bread in the oven. I started watching more YouTube. She discovered streaming. "It's like watching your mates play games, but you don't have to pretend you know what's going on," she said, handing me a bowl of popcorn while some guy yelled about being third-partied in Apex, and chats like a hive mind. The first streamer she properly latched onto was some Canadian woman who baked on stream and talked about mental health. Harmless. Sometimes I'd sit with her and half-watch while scrolling my phone, chuckling at chat's chaos. Then the Canadian took a hiatus, and Lexi went looking for someone new. That's when she found Jace. His real name is Jason, but online he's Jace on fire, mid-30s, softly scruffy, played competitive FPS, did just chatting and vibes streams with lo-fi music, had the whole LED strip, nanoleaf, don't forget to like and subscribe aesthetic down. I remember the first night she pulled him up. Okay, you need to see this guy, she said, plopping her laptop in my lap. He's actually funny, not in a I scream slurs when I lose way. On screen, he was arguing with chat about pineapple on pizza. Something about his timing was genuinely funny. The chat box on the side was whip fast, full of in-jokes and emotes I didn't understand. His view count bounced between 400 and 600, big enough that he wasn't a nobody, small enough that he still read messages out loud. She started watching him regularly after that. It wasn't weird at first. Everyone had pandemic comforts. Mine was going on long walks listening to the same 3 podcasts. Hers was hanging out in Jace's chat at night, spamming emotes, sending him $5 donos with dumb messages like, "This is to fund better aim." I'd be playing Stardew on my Switch on the couch and hear her laugh at something he read from chat. The shift happened slowly. She went from regular viewer to community member to mod. "He made me a mod," she said one night, practically vibrating off the couch. "Look, my name is Green now." "That means you can ban people?" I asked. "And run predictions and shout out raids and delete gross comments before he sees them," she said proudly. "It's like free labor but fun." After that, her phone was constantly buzzing with Discord notifications. There was a private mod channel where they strategized, a group chat, voice calls before and after streams. I'd walk past the spare room, which we used as a study, and see her in front of her monitor, headphones on, fairy lights behind her, Discord overlay glowing on the screen. "You guys planning the invasion?" I'd joke. "SHH, we're discussing emote spam strategy," she'd say without looking away. I started going to bed alone more often. "I'll be up in a bit," she'd call, but a bit turned into midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on work nights. I'd wake up at 3 to pee and see the crack of light under the study door, hear her laugh at something through the wall. We had our first actual fight about it about a year ago. I'd gone into the study at 12:30 because I couldn't sleep without her there and found her in voice chat, laughing at some story Jace was telling about his university days. On the second monitor, Twitch chat flew past. The little rectangle in the corner showed his face, smiling, stubble catching the RGB light. "Oh, my boyfriend here," she said into her mic, turning her chair a bit toward me. "Say hi, babe." I awkwardly waved at the webcam like an idiot. "Yo, chat, it's Lexi's long-suffering partner," Jay said through her headphones, his voice light. "Blink twice if she's making you watch VODs on your days off." Chat exploded. "BF reveal. He exist. Free HIM. We love you, king." I smiled because what else do you do with hundreds of strangers judging your relationship in real time? I squeezed her shoulder, mouthed, "Love you," and went back to bed. For some reason, instead of feeling included, I felt on display. When she finally came to bed an hour later, I was still awake. "Hey," I said quietly, "can we talk?" She flopped face down onto her pillow. "About." "You're up until 1 a.m. most nights with them," I said. "You're exhausted in the mornings. We barely talk in the evenings unless I'm in his chat. I feel like I'm sharing you with 100 people and some guy on a screen." She rolled her head to look at me, eyes heavy with tiredness. "It's my hobby," she said. "You play your little farming game, I mod, same difference." "It's not the same," I said, trying not to sound whiny. "Stardew isn't asking me for my emotional labor at 1 a.m. She snorted. "The chickens might disagree." "I'm serious, Lex," I said. "Remember when we used to watch shows together at night, or cook something and talk about our day? Now it's like you clock out of work and clock into Stream World." She sighed, pushed herself up on her elbows. "I talk about my day on stream," she said. "Jace actually listens." That strung way more than she probably intended. "I listen," I said, stiffer than I meant to. "To the surface stuff," she said. "You nod in the right places, you say that sucks, you offer solutions, but you don't engage. When I'm in chat, when I'm on voice with them, I feel heard. They get it. They know what it's like with nightmare clients, with creators who want you to make it viral. You tune out halfway through those stories." "I'm trying," I said, hatting how defensive I sounded. "I know you are," she said. I'm not saying you're a bad boyfriend. I'm just saying this gives me something I don't get anywhere else. I need that. I lay there staring at the ceiling, the fan making a soft whoomp-whoomp above us. It just feels like you're more emotionally invested over there than here, I said. She groaned. Babe, I'm not in love with Jace, she said, rolling her eyes. He's a guy on the internet who forgets to drink water if we don't remind him. I'm in love with you. Mods are like my book club. You don't sleep in the lounge after book club, I muttered. She threw an arm across my chest. I'll come to bed earlier, she said. Promise, just let me have this. It's keeping me sane. I wanted to believe her, so I did. You can probably guess what happened to that promise. Some nights she did come to bed earlier, to her credit. Others, the just one more game trap sucked her in. I'd bring it up, she'd say she was balancing it as best she could. It became this low-level hum of tension under everything. Then came the first IRL meetup. We are thinking of doing a Sydney get-together, she said one afternoon, sprawled on the couch scrolling Discord. Just a chill thing. Board games, dinner, maybe record some content. Who we? I asked. Mods and Jace, she said. He's coming over for PAX anyway, so we thought, why not? My stomach did a small, weird flip. Meeting internet people in real life carries a vibe, no matter how harmless it's framed. Where? I asked. Probably at Gabby, she said. Her place is big and central. We'll only be there a few hours. You can come if you want. She said it casually, but there was a tightness around her eyes. Do you want me there? I asked, because I've learned that's often more important. She chewed her lip. Honestly, she said, it might be awkward. You don't really know them. And I'd be worried about you being bored, and then I'd feel like I had to look after you instead of the community, and then I'd resent you, and that's not fair on anyone. Right, I said, so I'm invited, but not really. She winced. Please don't make this a thing, she said. It's one afternoon. You can have the house to yourself. Order pizza, game in your undies. Dream scenario. I laughed despite myself. Fine, I said, but send me a pic so I know you weren't murdered by a rogue subscriber. She kissed my forehead. You're the best. The day of the meetup she looked different, not in a dramatic makeover way, just more deliberate. Hair done in those loose waves she only bothered with for weddings and job interviews. A new top I hadn't seen before, slightly lower cut than her usual. She asked me 3 times if her eyeliner was even. You nervous? I asked, leaning in the bathroom doorway. A little, she admitted. It's weird, you know. I know them so well, but I also don't know them at all. You'll be fine, I said. You're basically a golden retriever in human form. They'll love you. She smiled, tension easing a little. Stop, she said, swatting my arm. She left at 3 p.m. At 3:30, she texted a photo. 4 of them around a table with board games, Jace in the middle, exactly like his stream but in normal lighting. He looked smaller, less larger than life without the wide-angle lens and RGB. She stood behind him, leaning in, making a thumbs up. Lexi alive, they're not axe murderers, Roman 20. Me, shame, I took out extra life insurance on you. Lexi, rude. She was meant to be home by 9. At 10:30, she messaged that they'd gone for one drink nearby. At midnight, she said she was going to crash at Gabby, because they'd all been drinking and she didn't want to Uber alone. A part of me twitched at that, not because I thought she'd cheat, not really, but because of the pattern. Online spillover into offline, one more piece of her life shifted into that orbit. I almost texted back, I'll come get you. Instead I typed, okay, be safe, and lay awake longer than I'll admit, imagining her laughing at some in-joke I'd never understand. Things after that shifted. I can't point to one single thing. It was more like the color balance of our life changed. She referenced Jace and the mods more in normal conversation. Oh, we were talking about this in Discord the other day. Jace mentioned this article on stream. I told Chad about how you always leave your socks on the coffee table. They roasted you. I went from being the main character in our private little sitcom to a recurring guest star in her larger, louder show. We had the big fight about 2 months before the livestream night. The one where you never listen first appeared. It was a Tuesday, both of us home late, both tired. I'd made a half-assed pasta bake. She left her dishes in the sink to soak for the 3rd day in a row. I'd asked calmly at first, then less calmly, if she could please help out more around the house. She snapped back that she worked just as hard as I did and maybe if I wanted spotless benches I should marry a Roomba. It escalated from there, as these things do, skipping from chores to you're always on your phone, to you don't appreciate what I do in about 5 minutes. You know what your problem is, she said finally, standing in the doorway of the study with her arms folded. You never listen, not really. You wait for your turn to talk. You decide who I am in your head, and anything that doesn't fit that just bounces off. I was standing by the sink, dishcloth in my hand, sauce congealing in the pan. The words hit hard because there was some truth in them. I do zone out when I'm stressed. I do retreat into my head, but also, it felt unfair. That's not true, I said. Really? She said. I've been telling you for months that streaming is important to me, that it's not just a hobby, that it's a community, my friends, my outlet, and all you do is roll your eyes and make jokes about me moderating for some guy in LEDs. You don't ask about them. You don't watch unless I shove it in your face. You don't listen when I tell you what it gives me. I listen, I said quietly. I just don't always agree that the way it's taking over your life is healthy. There it is, she said, throwing her hands up. It's not about understanding, it's about judging. She stormed into the study and shut the door. 5 minutes later, I heard the Discord connected noise. It strung that she'd go straight from that conversation into the arms, ears of the people she felt actually listened. We didn't properly resolve it. The next morning, she left early for work with a tight, polite bye. The day after that, she sent me a dog meme at lunchtime, and we slid back into normalish. The words hovered, though, like smoke you can't quite clear. Which brings me back to that Saturday night. She was going to Gabby's for another girls' night. It was almost boringly familiar by then. The clatter of makeup in the bathroom, the which jeans make my ass look less flat, fashion show, the kiss on the cheek as she grabbed her overnight bag. I'll be late, she said. We might end up watching trash TV until like 3. Text me if you need a lift, I said on autopilot. Love you, she said, already halfway out the door. At around 9, my phone buzzed with a text from my coworker, Sam. Sam, bro, isn't this that streamer a girl watches? He attached a link to Twitch. I clicked it without thinking. Jace's stream popped up on my phone. Late night ranked with the Gremlins, the title said. He was in his usual setup, hoodie, headset, leaning toward the camera in that way that makes you feel like he's talking just to you. I almost closed it. I wasn't in the mood to watch him yell about headshots. Then someone in chat wrote, "Is that Lexi I hear?" My thumb hovered, my ears pricked. I turned the volume up. Chat, no, he said, smirking at the camera. You don't hear anyone, you're hallucinating. A laugh echoed faintly in the background, hers. And then, you never listen, in that teasing tone, followed by her laugh and the thwack of what I can now confidently say was a throw pillow. My vision tunneled. I cast it to the TV so I could see better, heart racing. The camera framed just enough of the room that I could see a second mug on the desk, a glimpse of chipped blue nail polish on a hand that reached in to steal his mouse for a second, her bracelet, the one with the little silver moon I'd given her for our 2nd anniversary. Chat, of course, had zero chill. Lexi, is that you? We bine you. Say HIBF. Omgalal, he said, she's not here. Seriously, calm down, Jace said, laughing. Some of us have IRL friends, you know. He glanced off screen again. She's just here to roast my gameplay as usual. Because you never listen when people ping you, her voice came again, clearer this time. My brain was doing that thing grief does, where it splinters into multiple thoughts at once. She lied about being at Gabby's. That's my girlfriend's laugh. How long have they been hanging out in person without telling me? And underneath all of it, this awful numbness that felt like the floor dropping out from under me. I checked my texts an hour earlier. Lexi made it to Gab's. I stared at that message, and then at the stream and felt stupid, like the punchline to someone else's joke. I typed with shaking thumbs. Me, where are you? No response. Me, are you at Jace? On the TV, he died in-game and blamed the distracting gremlin in my room, which made chat spam LMAOO and couple banter. Me, answer me. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared, finally. Lexi, can we talk later? Me, are you at his house? Long pause. Lexi, yes. I put my phone down because my hands were starting to shake so much I was worried I'd drop it. On the TV, Jace switched to just chatting, leaning back in his chair. All right, we're going to take a quick break, he said. I have to go deal with a gremlin who keeps telling me I never listen. I'll be back in 5. He muted, stood up, and for a split second the camera caught her full in frame. Oversized hoodie, his merch of course, bare legs, hair up in a messy bun, my bracelet on her wrist. She looked exactly like she did when she padded around our kitchen making coffee on weekends. Then she mouthed oops at the camera, laughed, and they both disappeared out of frame. I think that was the moment something broke in me. Not the lying itself, though that hurt, but the casualness, the ease, the fact that my domestic, everyday Lexi, the one who didn't wear pants while she watered our plants, was now replicating that in some other guy's gamer dungeon. When he came back 5 minutes later alone, his hair a little mussed, chat was screaming. We saw HER. IRL SHIPPP. So this is why no late night streams lately. Okay, he said, hands up. Yes, a friend is here. No, I'm not answering any more questions. Touch grass. My phone buzzed again. Lexi, I know it looks bad. Please don't blow my phone up while I'm here. We can talk. Me, come home. Lexi, I can't just bail. Me, I'm watching the stream. The little red indicator popped up under both messages. No reply. I watched the rest of the stream in this weird, dissociated state, like it was happening in another room and I was just eavesdropping. He kept glancing off screen, laughing at things she said that we couldn't hear. Chat kept trying to bait him into saying she was his girlfriend. He kept deflecting with lines like, nah, I'm married to the grind. At one point, someone donated $10 with the message, for you and Lexi's date fund, and he read it out and choked down a laugh. I don't know why I stayed watching. Part of it was probably self-harm, emotional addition. Part of it was wanting the full picture. Evidence, the VOD, some tangible thing to point at later and say, see, I'm not crazy. When he finally ended stream around midnight, he said, thanks for hanging out, chat. I'm gonna log off and actually pay attention to my IRL company now, and winked at the camera. Be nice to each other. The stream cut. The TV went back to the Twitch home screen. The room felt suddenly very quiet. I sat there for a full minute, hearing my own blood in my ears. Then I started packing a bag. Nothing dramatic, no trash bags, no broken picture frames. Just a backpack with jeans, a couple of shirts, underwear, my toothbrush, my laptop charger. Once I'd zipped it up, I sat on the edge of the bed with it at my feet and texted her. Me, I'm going to Liam, for the night. When you get home tomorrow, let me know. We'll talk then. No reply. I locked the front door behind me louder than necessary, basically announcing to the empty street that I was leaving. Our dog, Milo, watched me with big confused eyes from his bed. I crouched, scratched his ears, whispered, "It's not you, buddy," and had to blink away tears because saying that out loud made it too real. At my friend Liam's place, I didn't even explain properly. Just Lexi lied about where she was, it's bad, can I crash? He looked at my face, opened the door wider and said, "Cooch is yours, man." The details came later, in stops and starts, as we sat in the dark with his dog snoring between us. Bro, he said when I showed him the VOD clip, that's not just friend energy. I keep thinking maybe I overreacted, I said. Maybe it's all in my head. Your girlfriend lied about who she was with and where she was, he said. And she was at some dude's house who she spends all night talking to, wearing his hoodie on stream. You're underreacting, if anything. I didn't sleep much. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her saying, "You never listen," in that light, flirty tone, and then in the sharp, hurt tone she'd used in our fight, both true in different ways. She texted at 2:37 a.m. Lexi, I'm home. Me, I'm not. No reply. The talk happened the next day, early afternoon, in our living room. I walked in, backpack still on my shoulders, though I didn't plan on leaving immediately. She was on the couch in sweatpants and a hoodie, not his merch anymore, just one of her old ones, hair in a bun, face bare. She looked like she'd been crying. Hey, she said quietly. Hey, I said, equally quiet. We stood there for a few seconds like strangers, in a waiting room. You left, she said finally, like she couldn't believe it. You lied, I said, and then you didn't leave. She flinched. Can you sit down? She asked. I sat in the armchair. She sat on the edge of the couch, hands twisted together in her lap. Milo jumped up beside her, head on her knee, oblivious referee. I don't even know where to start, she said, staring at her fingers. Try the truth, I said. She winced. I was at Jace, she said, which you know. Instead of Gabby, I said. Instead of Gabby, she echoed. I asked Gabby to cover for me. She lied to me too, I asked, a fresh little sting. She didn't want to, Lexi said quickly. I put her in a shit position, that's on me. How long has this been going on? I asked, you being there, off-stream. She swallowed. We hung out a couple of times after that first meetup, she said. Like brunch coffee, helping him set up new cameras, it wasn't. Did you tell me? I cut in. No, she said. Why? Because I knew you react like this, she said, then immediately shook her head. That's a bullshit answer. Because I knew it wasn't just coffee with a friend in my head anymore, and I didn't want to admit that, not to you, not to myself. The room felt very small. So what is it in your head? I asked. She stared at a spot on the wall like the answer might be written there. It started as feeling seen, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Like I said, he gets this whole part of my life that. You don't. Then we met in person and he was the same. Funny, attentive, he listens. And then I started thinking about him when he wasn't on screen, wondering what he'd say about things, looking forward to seeing him in chat in a way that felt more than just mod energy. Did you tell him you're in a relationship? I asked. Yes, she said immediately. He knows about you. I talk about you all the time. Yeah, I said bitterly, to chat as a character. She flinched again. He knows you're real, she said. We've had conversations. About what? About boundaries, she said. About not wanting to be that streamer who ruins someone's relationship. About keeping things professional. We tried to be careful. I laughed, a short, ugly sound. Careful, I said, while I was watching you in his hoodie on his stream from my couch. Tears filled her eyes. I know, she said. I know how it looks. It is bad. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you it's not. Have you slept with him? I asked. She shook her head, eyes wide. No, she said. I haven't. She cut herself off. We've what? I pressed. She swallowed. We've kissed, she said, so quietly I almost missed it. Off-stream. The words landed like a physical thing between us. I felt weirdly calm, like my body had decided to shut down non-essential functions so my brain could process. How many times? A few, she said. Always cut off, always followed by this is a bad idea, we can't do this. And then we'd go back to pretending nothing happened, until last night when it wasn't off-stream anymore. So all those times you told me nothing was happening, I said, my voice disturbingly even, something was happening. I told myself it didn't count, she said, tears spilling over now, because I didn't intend for it to happen, because I felt guilty immediately, because I still loved you and I didn't want to be this person. But you were this person, I said. She nodded, shoulders shaking. Yeah, she said, I was. There's this myth that when you catch someone cheating, you'll explode. Scream, throw things, call them names. Maybe some people do. I just deflated. All the fight went out of me. I'm not going to call you evil, I said, or a monster. I don't think you woke up one day and chose betrayal off a menu. I think you made 1,000 little choices to prioritize him and that community over me, and then you crossed lines and called it not counting because it wasn't sex, and now we're here. She sobbed, head in her hands. Milo whined and licked her arm. I'm sorry, she said between breaths. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve this. You're a good partner. You've been patient and you've tried to understand, and I just steamrolled you. I sat there, back pressed into the chair, every muscle tense. Do you want to be with him? I asked. She froze, looked up. The honest answer flickered across her face before the words caught up. I don't know, she said. That hurt more than a yes. If I wasn't in the picture, I said, would you be with him? She laughed weakly, a broken sound. He's a 35-year-old manchild who plays games for a living and forgets to do his taxes, she said. He lives in a share house. I don't even know if he wants kids. There are so many reasons not to, but part of me, she trailed off. Part of you what? Part of me likes how I feel around him, she whispered. Seen, exciting, like I'm someone, not just Alex's loud girlfriend who leaves dishes in the sink. And that part is loud in my head right now. I let that sink in. Then I asked the question I'd been avoiding because I already suspected the answer. Do you want to be with me? She looked wrecked. I still love you, she said. That's not gone. I love our life, our stupid dog, our teal walls, your bad puns. I don't want to lose that, but I don't know how to turn off the part of me that wants whatever this is with him. So you want both, I said. I don't know what I want, she said desperately. If I knew, I wouldn't have got us into this mess. We sat in silence. The clock on the wall ticked too loud. A car went past outside. Somewhere a kid yelled. It was just an ordinary Sunday for everyone else. I can't share you, I said finally. Emotionally or physically. I know some people make that work, open relationships or whatever, but that's not me. I need to be the person you're choosing, not one of your options. I need you to be decisive, to listen when I say I'm hurt instead of running to chat. I know, she said. I don't expect you to be okay with this. I'm not okay with this. Here's the thing, it would have been easier in a way if she'd come out with some clean villain line. I don't love you anymore. I've fallen for him, something simple to grab onto. Instead, it was this mess of conflicting feelings, guilt and longing and fear of losing comfort. Human, infuriatingly human. We talked for a long time, about how she'd rationalized each step, about my pattern of not listening, how when she'd tried to tell me she felt stuck, I'd responded with solutions instead of empathy, which made the easy validation of chat addictive. About her dad, who bounced from woman to woman and told her mum it just happened when he left. She cried saying she hated that she'd become a cliché. I mostly listened, ironically. Really listened, probably more intently than I had in months. It didn't make me hurt less. It did make me understand, which almost made it worse. At the end of it, we didn't magically decide to stay or leave. We were too raw for that. I told her I was going to stay at Liam for a few more days to give us space. She agreed. We both cried. I left with my backpack again, Milo's confused whine following me down the hall. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, a few things have happened. She left Jace's mod team, deleted the Discord app off her phone. According to Gabby, who I met for coffee to try and untangle the what did you know and when mess, she also told him they couldn't talk anymore. That was apparently a shit show. He wasn't thrilled about losing his gremlin. She started seeing a therapist. I did too, separately. We've done 2 couples sessions with my therapist as a neutral third party. Those have been intense. Hearing her say out loud, I had an emotional affair and then a physical one, hurt in a different way than seeing it on stream. Hearing my therapist ask, might you have been choosing not to listen to his needs as much as he was to yours? Hurt too because, yeah, that's there. I moved into my own tiny studio temporarily. Lease transfer stuff is complicated. We're still figuring out what to do with the apartment. For now, I have a futon, a kettle, and Milo. We decided he'd stay with me, both because of my work flexibility and because she's barely home in the evenings. And yes, a petty part of me was triumphant that he picked my lap over hers when we tested it. We are on a break, to use the phrase everyone hates, not in the Ross/Rachel meme way, Maury in the I need to see who I am without your voice in my ear and your stream open on my laptop way. She messages sometimes, small careful things. How's Milo? Saw something that reminded me of you. I reply politely, neutrally. I'm not ready to do anything beyond that. I've watched Jace's stream once since. Curiosity, he didn't mention her. There was a new mod in chat. It felt like walking past an ex's house and seeing a different car in the driveway. My stomach flipped and then settled. Do I still love her? Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. 5 years doesn't evaporate because of a few months of terrible decisions. Do I trust her? Not right now. And that's the thing relationships run on more than love, I'm learning. You can love someone to bits and still not be able to share a life with them safely. I'm posting this here partly to get it out of my head, partly because if one person reads it and thinks, maybe I should listen to my gut about my partner's friend they spend every night gaming with, then maybe my humiliation will serve a purpose. Emotional cheating is real. Just friends can be real until they're not. And you never listen is sometimes a deflection from I haven't been honest either. I don't know yet whether Lexi and I will make it. My therapist keeps saying things like, you don't have to decide today, which is both comforting and maddening. There are days I wake up and think, we can rebuild, we can set new boundaries, we can come back from this. There are other days I picture her laughing in the background of that stream and feel my whole body tense, and I think, no, I don't want to spend the next 10 years flinching every time her phone buzzes. What I do know is that I'm listening now. To her, yeah, but mostly to myself, to the part of me that tried to speak up months ago about how much space streaming was taking and got shut down, so it went quiet. I should have listened to that voice earlier. Maybe it wouldn't have stopped her falling for the attention of a guy with an RGB keyboard, but I would have at least been honest with myself sooner. She said, you never listen, and she was right in some ways. I didn't listen to all the ways she felt unseen. She didn't listen to all the ways her choices were slicing me up. Now I'm trying to. Listen to the only person I can control in this whole mess, me. And right now I need space, a therapist, and a dog who doesn't have a Twitch account.